Now I would like to invite Dr. Sunil Kumar Patnaik sir to give his lecture on the theme.
Namaskar, good evening. It is a privilege on my part and an opportunity that Professor Padhi has invited me and given a chance to speak, to share some of our experiences, some of our work we have carried out on the East Coast in the last decades. Respected Chairman of the session, Professor Ellen Raut, my teacher, Professor Alok, Professor Karsar, and all the dignitaries. One of my teacher is also Professor Ami Patnaik, Professor Nanda sir, all the delegates and scholars. Really, this is an opportunity, very good opportunity. We are trying to organize such a conference in Odisha, but we failed. But I am very much thankful to IIM that they have tried and organized successfully. Because this is an area of South Asian studies and cultural linkage. It is a multidisciplinary study. It is not only concerned with history or archaeology or Odia or literature. It requires science, and it's a conglomeration of all the scholars. So after all, we have an opportunity to share and debate what is going on in the Southeast Asian studies now in India and world. In Indian context, I have been participating in a number of conferences in India in relating Southeast Asia. Everywhere, almost all the scholars, they are having good papers and discussions about Cholo, about the Bengal, about the Telangana coast. But everybody is leaving or left out the Kalingan coast. Even very good scholars in India, very renowned scholars, they have written very good books on Ashoka, on trade routes, on maritime studies, Walters from Southeast Asia, in Indian context, IDK, and a number of scholars. They come up to Tamlipti and they went back again to Pumpuhar or this Arikamedu. But they leave from Tamlipti to Arikamedu, the Kalingan area. But we have, fortunately, lot more information in the form of literature, and the Greater India Society, which was founded in 1920, all the journals, I have all the journals, 32 journals I have, they have mentioned out and out about the Kalinga and its like R.C. Majumdar's theory, H.B. Sarkar's theory, out and out they mentioned about the Kalinga. But that need have to validate it with archaeological evidences or material evidences. Fortunately, up to 1990, we didn't have any kind of archaeological sources regarding our ocean venture and Indian Ocean venture. Fortunately, series of archaeological excavation has been conducted, organized, undertaken by Archaeological Survey of India, myself, my institute, Government of Odisha, and all the universities, Utkal University, Ravenshaw University, which I am also part of all these excavations. And after 10 years, 15 years, now we are able to know something about Odishan past in material culture. About Odishan past. See, in the morning session, it was discussion about the rice. Here, from this is Durga Devi excavation. We got rice dated in Beta Laboratory, USA. We got the date of rice in 1350 BC. That is domestic rice used by the Odia people. And that is proved again from Swabari here in Bhubaneswar, near Bhubaneswar. And that is also Bhartiuda and Deltiuda. So now, the use of rice, domesticated rice, used by the people of Odisha, dated to 1350 BC. That is proved from these sides. Again, afterwards, we have Iron Age. The use of iron. Of course, we are little late in Indian context. Our iron is dated to 800 BC. And after that, soon after Iron Age, 800 BC, towards 4th, 5th century BC, we have the urban centers. It is strange. If you travel from Ganga, lower Ganga to Godavari, every 15-10 kilometer you will find either Buddhist site or urban site. That knowledge only we got only recently. How urbanization developed? Urbanization developed means everything developed. Religion, rice, intellectual mass, knowledge and venture. That is one of the most important knowledge we are getting right now from Odishan coast. And afterwards, my area of discussion is today discussion is just only 2 points. One is the maritime Silk Route, and another is Great Circle of Buddha. That is the two the hypothesis is going on in Indian context right now in Motion project by Government of India and Silas Institute also that Lothal museum coming up museum. Maritime Museum, I am also curatorial member there. So the trend is going on that we have to correlate with Maritime Silk Route and another great circle of Buddha. That happened in 1st century BC AD and another in 7th century, 8th century AD. In both the sphere, Odisha had a major role, and that all comes from our excavated sites, from Buddhist sites only. See, I just have a glimpse of the excavated sites. Look at Chandraketu in West Bengal. Chandraketu is the headquarter of Gupta of Mauryan period, Chandragupta Maurya, and now it is in just little away, 24 kilometers from Calcutta, and towards down, Tamlipti is there. That is the major port. And coming down from Tamlipti till Chennai, Arikamedu, we have series of Buddhist sites every 10-15 kilometers. Out of that, there are so many major Buddhist sites developed, having stupas, having chaityas, monasteries, images, mandalas, inscriptions, all that. But the interesting part is, all the Buddhist sites are developed in a cluster baked with a port site. There must be a port site in around a Buddhist site, if it is relevant in a bigger way. That study has been taken up from Ganga to Godavari or up to Kaveri river, because Tamil Nadu government and Odisha government, we are working on that. So by the way, we are getting all the maritime evidences from Chandraketu, because that is just a border of Odisha right now. Then Tamlipti. These are the ceilings, boat ceiling, and torpedo jar, and this is the Chandraketu site, and below one is the Tamlipti site. And nearby, there is another site is called Mogolmari. Mogolmari is just above, bordering to Jaleshwar. It was in Odisha earlier, just bordering 5 kilometers from Jaleshwar. That recently West Bengal government has taken up excavation, and they found this boat ceiling. And everybody was thinking before that it was a Mughal related to some war, Mughal war, something like that. But Mogolmari is having something else, and it goes to 2nd century AD right now. And coming down again, this is Radhanagar. I have excavated it, and this is the Mauryan structure. Ashoka built during this structure was built during the Mauryan period. And this is the Sadabu Tissa. This is a very good evidence. Sadabu Tissa happened to be a very good, monk, Buddhist monk. Or it may be also conjecture that the Sri Lankan delegation came and met to Ashoka. One Tissa was there, maybe. And this is Devaya Nagara. This seal is Devaya Nagara, and that is Vijaya. So all these are the opening book of Odishan history. Just a preface of Odishan history. And again, another is Lambudi. All these are datable to 2nd century AD, 1st century BC. Here, emergence of Buddha image also depicted. Emergence of Buddha in India. In India, Buddha image emerged around 1st century AD or BC during Kushan period. At the same time, we have a Buddha image here. That is also we are taking to all in a pan-Indian context. And these are the major Buddhist sites. And look at the relic caskets. This is the casket where we get a relic from Lalitgir site. It was excavated during 90s. This is the Udayagiri. This is stupa of Udayagiri, 8th century, but Udayagiri is, the date of site is 4th century, 3rd century, 13th century BC. And this is the Mandala stupa. This Mandala stupa, scholars think, might be the base of stupa of Borobudur, because Borobudur stupa has been 4 galleries, and all depend on the Mandala and on the basis of Gandavya. Here it is the Gandavya stupa, here we have written. This is again is the Mandala stupa. And all Mandala, Amitabh Mandal, Akshaya Mandal, we are getting from here. That is one of the great sites, Udayagiri. And this is Ratnagiri. Here Ratnagiri is having a most important because it is a Vajrayana center. And Gandhavya might have written here. And one of our ruler, Bhaumakara ruler, Subhakar Singh, it is written, how far it is, I don't know, but it is all scholars accepted. That Gandhabya or Avatamasa Sutra is written in Ratnagiri Mahavihara, and he all the way went to China, presented to Chinese Emperor Taisang in 8th century AD. And this is the Ratnagiri Mahavihara. And again coming down to Mahanadi, across Mahanadi, these are the sites not yet excavated but documented. But again it connected towards central India. And again coming down to coastal area, this is Dhauli. Everybody might be knowing Dhauli, Ashokan edict, and Dhauli stupa and the elephant, 3rd century BC elephant. Just near Dhauli, across the river Daya, we have excavated recently this stupa. This is the Aragad stupa, and it is around 1,000 feet above the hillock. And recently we have excavated. Look at this stupa. It is a very early stupa, and having railings. Nowhere in Odisha found railings, plain railing, and it must belong to 3rd century BC. It's Aragad, here in Bhubaneswar, nearby Bhubaneswar. Yeah. Then again, little down, it is Salihundam, and back by Kalingapatna. This Salihundam stupa, again, Salihundam site, it is known as Sarlia Petika, or rice hill, hill of rice, hill of rice. It is said, inscriptions are there. Earlier it was there in Kalinga. It is very much in Kalinga because it is in Bansadhara river. And it is a very huge site. Very huge site. Belong to 2nd century, 1st century, 1st century BC to 3rd century BC to 3rd century CE. Massive development. And this is the history of Kalinga. If you read this, one side can speak 10 volumes of history of Kalinga. This much material is there. I just suggest to the youngsters, take up research project on that. Because Andhra people, they thought, I interacted with Andhra scholars also. I am working with them too. Now, Phangiri is the excavation going on. I am also part of that. They say it is a Kalinga site. Kalinga people should do. If I ask Kalinga people, it is an Andhra site, they should do. No much work has done on this site. I have documented everything. If somebody comes voluntarily, I will give at least 5 PhDs can be done on this site. And this is again near Thatalko, this is Vishakhapatna. Again, Vishakhapatna is also in Kalinga. Thatlakonda, this is Thatlakonda, recently discovered. Recently means by chance discovery, discovered by the army people. And Andhra government has taken a lot of care. They have conserved everything. Lot of Satavahan coins, lot of trade materials, and it was a port. Bimilipatnam. It was an ancient port again. Kulatunga Cholo in 10th century AD, he rebuilt this port. Before that, Kalinga people, Kalingan kings, they used this port. And again, beyond that, this is Bijanukonda again, and we are reaching to Guntupalli. This is in West Godavari district. So if you walk down through the east coast up to Godavari, then again Nagarjunakonda, Amaravati, then many more sites are there of Telangana and Tamil Nadu, many, and up to Karnataka. Actually, from Karnataka Kolar coal mine to Magadhan Empire during Ashoka time, actually this is the route. And we have given a nomenclature, that's a Purbiya Patha in Indian, this is the trade spots. This is a trading, sites. Sumatra, it is not much time is there. This is Silk Route. It is connected to Central Asia, Bamia. You must have known Bamiyan Buddha. China, it is connected to China and is coming down to Tamilipti, then come down to south and Mudiris in Kerala. And again it goes on western side, Sopara and all that. So this is the Silk Route, and one route goes to Southeast Asia. And this is again called Great Circular Buddha. It happened in Buddhism only. Everywhere Buddhist side and Buddhist culture was flowing. Hinayana, Theravada, Mahayana and Vajrayana, both. So this is the Great Circular Buddha, and this is the Purbiya Patha. Almost, I can say, almost all the scholars of India so far research, very big scholars, they left out this. We have joined with Buddhist side, Purbiya Patha. And one more thing, who built all these sites? Who have taken care of all these sites? No king has given. No, we don't have any inscription. No king has built a Buddhist site in Odisha, except Suhakar Singh in Bhaumakar period. But right from days of Kalinga, Ashoka, in post-Ashokan period, when Buddhism purported in Southeast Asia, it is sure it is migrated from this land of Kalinga. Kalinga is the torch bearer for Southeast Asia. Now it is coming to limelight because of all these sites. We have Buddha images, we have emergence of Buddha image, first Buddha image in India. We have terracotta image, we have inscriptions. And Kalinga, what is opposing the strength of Kalinga is the torch bearer. Kalinga is played a major role spreading Buddhism to whole of Southeast Asia by a trade and by a cultural interaction. There are all these sites, these are the evidences. What Sila Tirupati, this is the Manikapatna side. We have all the foreign materials. Indonesian terracotta we found from Manikapatna. Khorosti inscription, this is the Khorosti inscription, it comes from Central Asia. Because Central Asian people, they use this kind of, we got it from near Puri. And this is Indonesian bronze. We got from Puri only, near Puri. This is amphora, Roman trade people, they were using it. So these are Ceylonese coin, Chinese coin. And these are the foreign elements. These are the foreign Roman bulla. This is the Mongolian style lion. They are related where caltrop. All these materials, it speaks itself about our foreign contact, about our rich culture, heritage. And this is from Naraz, boat thing. And these are all temple depiction. Boats are depicted in temple walls and palm leaves. And this is the Tara image. It was worshipped by the traders as a savior goddesses. But in Western India, Avalokiteshwar is being worshipped as a savior god. And it is very popular in Southeast Asia, particularly Java. And this is the side I want to present this thing. This is the Sailadhava kingdom. It is called Kangodo. Sailadhavas is a very major dynasty. They ruled about 200 years. After 200 years, they vanished because there is three major wars: Harshavardhana, then Chalukya, Pulakeshin II, and Shashanka. They attacked this kingdom. It is said they just vanished they become Sailendra in Java. There is a theory. And most of the scholars, they have written many things about that. And these are the ports. These are the ports and the connecting our link. This is how maritime Silk Route was going on there. Palur, Kalingapatna, Tamilipti, Arikamedu, all these things. And this is how Mahayana went from this Kalinga area and it blossomed in Java, then Sri Lanka. First Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is the hub. From Sri Lanka, Thailand, it went to Thailand and it went to all the Southeast Asian. This is Cambodia. Cambodia, if you go Cambodia and see, this is you will feel a Odia culture is there reflected in the walls, Cambodian walls. I have seen and I have took the picture there. See, this is Borbadu. And this is Loi Kothung. This is just like Bali Yatra. Our Bali Yatra, it is in Thailand. It is in Bangkok. It celebrates every year during the same time, just day before and Kartika Purnima of our Kartika Purnima. This is the trading rules. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.